We're told this painting, called Buff, by an artist who's known simply as Lee, would sell for tens of thousands of dollars. Quite a step up from his graffiti roots when he was writing on the wall for free. Rita Braver now joins the issue over whether graffiti is art.
It is, in fact, a national urban epidemic. It spreads like some mysterious magic marker pen, spray paint fungus.
Remember when graffiti was the scourge of American cities?
And now it seems that almost every inch of every public wall is covered with names in an obscure kind of print.
But what was once considered vandalism is being presented in an exhibit at the Museum of the City of New York, showcasing some who, as teenagers, left their mark in the 1970s and 80s.
I'm going to be 59 this year, and so looking back, wow, it just doesn't seem real.
Leonard McGurr goes by the street name Futura 2000. Chris Ellis is also known as Days, and Lady Pink's real name is Sandra Fabara. They say that early graffiti was all about tagging, figuring out a stylish and distinctive way to write your street name.
Spray paint was the perfect medium for what we were doing because it was vibrant colors, it was quick, it dried fast, and enabled you to paint on a large scale.
Over the years, graffiti writers began to embellish their works with more design elements, many borrowed from popular culture. All along, part of the attraction for these kids, including Lady Pink, was that they were outlaws, with spray paint, often stolen, as their weapon of choice.
Learning how to paint in pitch blackness with your knees banging together, your heart in your throat, you hear a noise, and it might be only a rat, but you jump out of your sneakers and you run down the length of the lane, and then you have to come back and continue painting in the dark. You develop night vision. This is not an easy feat.
But what many of us never realized is how hard these teenagers worked on their creations.
They actually planned out what they were going to put on buildings and trains and buses.
Yeah, it was very common to kind of work on your style and then translate it into work in the world.
Sean Corcoran, who curated the exhibit, showed us a rare group of little black books, essentially sketchbooks. There are also photos and reproductions, all collected by the late Martin Wong, a painter in his own right who became friend and mentor to many of the young graffiti writers.
Why do you think that he realized that this was stuff worth holding on to?
He believed there was a real creative value to what these kids were doing, and he really bought into who they were.
He saw them as artists, not hoodlums?
Yes, exactly. He really very strongly believed that.
But others object to glorifying graffiti, arguing that it's a sign of a city out of control.
It is filthy. It is spirit killing.
Heather McDonald, who writes about urban policy for the Manhattan Institute, says she is angry about the exhibit.
It does not focus sufficiently on the corrosive effect that graffiti had on the city's spirit. Anybody who could avoid the subways in the 1970s and 80s that could, did.
The exhibit presents graffiti in the context of art. You're suggesting that this isn't art.
It is vandalism. It is an appropriation of the public's space or somebody's private property without permission, and nobody has a right to do that.
It's only graffiti or vandalism if you get arrested. But if you get away with it, then it's clearly art.
In fact, graffiti began to disappear from streets and subways as New York City became more vigilant about cracking down and cleaning up. But it has left a lasting impression on our culture. Futura 2000 has become a graphic artist who has worked for Nike and Levi's. Lady Pink is a painter whose work has been exhibited in several museums. And so is Days. And the graffiti movement paved the way for world-renowned artists like Keith Haring, Banksy, and Shepard Fairey, who created the famous Obama Hope poster. It all delights this trio of graffiti pioneers.
I think we're all pretty grateful right now to have had that experience, you know, because a lot of people pine for it. You know, they oh wow, it must have been so cool back then in New York, and you know what? Yeah, it was, and you missed it, okay?
The museum says this has been one of the most popular exhibits in years. And whether you like the work or what it stands for, there's no getting away from the fact that all of this was created by the very young.